Should everyone just quit their job and become software engineers? Even if you have a computer science degree, but that means nothing during an interview. Wait, what? Hey, hello. Let's talk about, in 2022, should everyone just quit their job and become software engineers? Remember that 400K TC for an SDE2 in December 2021, posted on Blind. When I was still at the company, SDE2 made on average somewhere above 200K in total, including salary and RSU. And now, the watermark has changed. It's so satisfying high. Let me share some context. Each company's level is different, so Amazon's level 5, as known as SDE2, is the second level software engineer. Let's say you graduated from school, and you get into Amazon as a software engineer, so your entry level is most likely just level 4, as known as SDE1. Now, you become SDE2. Your next level is senior software engineer. Here, if you're not familiar with software engineer compensation in the big tech companies, 400K is quite impressive for SDE2. Looking at this from a different angle, I found this one version of the US salary charts of 2021. If you make over 350K as your TC for the year, you're effectively in the top 1 percentile. Wow, I know, impressive. I found this chart online, so don't quote me on the exact number, but I think the point is clear. You work for a few years, and now you make it to Amazon as SDE2. There is a chance you get a big offer, which put you in the top 1% income class in the US. I know some people are demonized for their high income. Since we're on this topic, I just wanted to point out, legally, they have to pay a significant amount of tax because of their income. And yet, you pay a large portion of the 400K TC into tax. But still tempting, isn't it? Should you choose to become a software engineer in 2022? About time, right? I definitely want to say yes to those who already studying computer science. You might as well just finish what you started. For my audience who are in other STEM majors and still in school, some may consider switching majors. Hold your thoughts. And by the way, STEM, STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. For those of you who are not in STEM major and now considering a much bigger jump, hold your thoughts there as well. My question for you is, how much are you interested in or determined in engineering? To be frank, the bar to become someone who can code for a living is not difficult at all. However, if you are targeting the satisfying 400K salary, this path forward may be somewhat different than you anticipate. Let's first check out the bare minimum requirements. Software engineers, as known as programmers, now have many variants. For the bare minimum, you can attend a bootcamp for 3 months and train to code and be able to write JavaScript using some UI framework. You can make legit websites just like that, easy. It seems like a no-brain shortcut and a successful story to tell for the bootcamp company, right? I think this is what misleads people. Even after you learn how to code, it's not trivial to find a good job with just 3 months of training. Why? For the exact same reason, it's too easy. There are tons of candidates from your exact bootcamp with the exact same 3 months experience looking for an entry-level, let's say, web development job. It's brutal. I worked in this industry for 7+ years, so I'm making an educated guess. After the bootcamp, you have to work on projects, whether it's for free or as a side hustle for some time. Your goal is to build up your portfolio, right? Then you may be able to land a decent web development job. Let's say you spend 1 year building up your portfolio, and now you're more of an experienced web developer and you got into your first official software engineer job. Great. How much does it pay? I'm taking another educated guess. Probably much lower than the 400K target, since you haven't made it to the big names just yet. On the bright side, this job may still pay better than your previous job. Now, looking back at this 1 year plus 3 months journey, is it worth it? It took a lot of passion and dedication to get here. I hate to use the term, but I think it's legit grinding. Now you start the path of a software engineer. You still want to hold some level of passion to keep going. Remember that if you don't ever make it to the big names or join a unicorn startup, your income is likely to be stable. just like any other job in the market. Now look, I know there are really smart people who changed their career paths, become badass engineers, and eventually join a unicorn startup or the big tech companies. That is a long journey to go. I'm sure most of us can grind, but this path is usually quite uncomfortable. And so, how are we supposed to get there? What about those big names? In my opinion, in the past 10 years, the tech industry does it too much mystery on the job of a software engineer. The daily life of an engineer is just normal, like any other job. You meet with coworkers, you split projects, you deliver your project, and you claim success. Just like that, simple and nothing fancy. And no, you don't have to be an introverted nerd to be a software engineer. But obviously, you need certain skill set to accomplish the job, and all of that can be trained. This is the same for big or small companies. I think a startup company looks for people with rich experience who can quickly lead the development. So the interview may not be as hard, but they really want experienced high-output engineers. For the big tech firms, it's just extremely difficult to get in. The interview process is a battle. In a somewhat strange way, you almost hear from all these companies saying a computer science degree is preferred, but not required. Be very careful when you consider the qualifications. What it really means is, even if you have a computer science degree, you may get an interview easier, but that means nothing during the interview. On the other hand, even if you don't have a degree in computer science, you can still get a job at the big tech. Then what is the actual high bar there? The tech giants all test your knowledge in computer science, and more importantly, they examine how you solve problems in the software engineering context. Another way to put it, as long as you learned the knowledge and skill set, you can ace the interview. I don't want to get into any interview specifics, but the process of learning computer science fundamentals, competitive coding, interview preparation took people months to years to master. It's hard to estimate for an individual with no background in computer science to get ready for a big tech company interview. Let's say you spend 6 months learning and another 6 months prepping for the interview. Is it worth the time and effort? Do you have the passion and interest to go down this boring learning path? I'm talking about the latter 6 months for interview prep. You will be constantly facing abstract algorithm problems and train like a robot to solve the problems effectively in coding interview standards. With all that being said, are you still interested in changing your major to computer science or your career path into software engineering? Regardless of your decision, don't do it just for the money. The outcome may not meet your expectation. There are usually two paths that people follow. As we said, meet the bare minimum requirements and start working from the bottom as an entry-level developer, or spend a long time learning fundamentals and prep for big tech company jump. And on top of all these, any type of interviews, whether in tech or in other industry, we have to face the luck factor. Sometimes you just have good or bad luck. It's really the passion in software engineering that can stimulate your momentum and keep you going. So don't do it just for the money. Also, to be fair, being an engineer on average is a lot more boring than other jobs. Besides communication with coworkers, most of our life is about writing documents, writing code, and maintaining the code. If these tasks seem exciting for your ideal daily work, then I guess give it a go. In the end, I also want to leave a positive note for people who are in school, especially in STEM. The future is still looking good for software engineering. I'm not qualified to comment on any of those hypotheses that AI will replace software engineers, but I don't see that as a blocker to becoming a software engineer. From my personal experience, especially when you become much more senior in the job, like any other line of work, personal skills and experience are far more critical in your role. And yeah, engineers do not just code. Well, if it's true that AI will replace some jobs, I don't think engineers are the first ones on the line to get rid of. That's all I want to say about if you should become a software engineer in 2022. I know it sounds cliche, but chase after the passion over money. See, I am chasing my own passion here with you, sharing thoughts and making videos online. I'm doing all this for free because I can have fun in the process. If you are determined to go for the income, just a sanity check if you have sufficient passion currency to sustain until you make it. Questions: how do you feel about changing your career to software engineering? What blockers do you have in the transition if you are in school? What's the scary part about switching to a computer science major? Let me know down below in the comments. Also, if you liked this content, consider giving it a thumb up, like, comment, and share. I'll see you next time.